Hey, folks, I hope you're having a good start to your December. Judy's going to be back with me in a couple weeks. In the meantime, though, I wanted to share a clip from a conversation she had recently. She discussed how to reduce time spent on escalations, how to make a shift to measuring what matters, how to change to a more customer centric culture, and the importance of listening. I thought it was a nice segment. And if you're a fan of Judy's and want to join us for a discussion, please reach out to info@sxlive.com. Now on to the clip, and hope you have a good week.
How long did it take you to get everything in place to be able to reduce time spent on escalations?
Great question. And happy to help with that answer. It was a couple of weeks. From the time that we had SupportLogic up and running, after we made the selection, we were able to train the tool because, of course, that is part of this. So when we were alerted, some escalations were valid, but some, quite frankly, just because of the nomenclature that we would use and stuff, it was normal to use certain terms. It was a couple of weeks, and we were reducing our CSAT. We went from, I believe it was a 4.5 to a 4.7. And we're talking a couple of weeks. We had to rerun it a couple of times because we were like, we didn't get that good that fast. And we had great stuff. And the best part, we found things that were occurring. Customers that were doing and saying things to some of our agents that our agents weren't sharing with us, simply because they were anxious to do so, and they felt like, well, I can't take that forward to my manager. I don't want to be a problem, whatever. But it was things that customers were doing that were very inappropriate to some of the agents. Yeah. We found that using SupportLogic. We would have never found that otherwise. Never. Unless there was some reason we would have had to crawl through one of those cases, and we just wouldn't have. But we were able to go back to the customer and talk to him about his behavior and what we expected. So great question. It's fast. We're doing a lot here on our side now that I have the onboarding team to really make it a fast transition from the moment a prospect turns into a customer, because we want you getting to that data as quickly as possible, because we want you to see those amazing results. So I would encourage people to really look at it that way.
Judy, I'll say this. I'm one of the biggest ahas joining the company myself, and I've been here for a year and a half plus. Obviously, the prediction side of this, right? Being able to get in front of escalations, massive, right? And you were talking about case routing and the like. But I was always thinking about that from the perspective of the customer. And what you just shared was, I didn't think as much about the impact on our teams, right? And it's a tough job. What we do is so difficult. And in the situation you're talking about, right? Sometimes customers aren't necessarily always nice to the people on the phone. Sometimes they're coming at things a little bit different. Giving the tools to the leadership team, right? To the company to say, hey, here's what it's like to be on the front lines. My thing, I was always like backlog management. Dude, I always had, everybody had a backlog. When I come in the morning, wow, I got 100 tickets I got to work on, 50, whatever. Which ones do I work on and when? Right? Yeah. That, if you do it smart, changes the day in the life for the people on the team. Better support experience for the customers too. So all of these unanticipated benefits of getting the voice of the customer exposed. I just look at that across the board. So Judy, well, hopefully we'll get a few more questions here. Another one pops into my mind. Educating, I'll say the executive team or people that don't live in the support organization, what it's really like to walk a day in your shoes, so to speak. What are the things that, as you're talking to other senior leaders, that are sound bites or small tidbits that you can say, this is truly the impact that we're making. This is truly, we don't have escalations because we're doing a bad job. Escalations occur because, anything like that. How do you convince other departments or others about the importance of support and what you're doing?
Yeah. So measure what matters, and again, think about it. Support getting ready for a QBR or something. We would make some slides, and we're all really good at pretty slides, and we'd have lots of metrics and things like that. And guess what metric would get focused on in those QBRs? The one that was either declining or had maybe turned to red, right? So you had all these other metrics that were amazing, but it was just that focus on that one. Why did that one go down? Get to a smaller amount of what you're sharing with your executives, and get to a place where you can attach yourself to the customer value. How fast did a customer smile once they bought your product, right? How fast did they have a return on investment? Did you get in front of the issues before they even knew? Catherine Sullivan, who is a board member of ours, but she was a peer of mine at Salesforce, would always say, +1. How did we do with the +1s today when it came to adding value for the customers that they didn't even know they needed from, that they wanted from, right? And think about it. If you're in support today and you're still measuring time to resolution, as an example, and again, it's a valid metric, I understand it. But what if you said to your support agents, hey, the next problem they're going to run into, it. Help them with it while you have them right now. Well, that's going to really mess up your time to resolution. But it's worth it, right? Because you've done the +1. You've given them that extra help. So for support, stop sitting on all of that data, sitting on the customer sentiment that you have. Start sharing that with customer success, with product. We made that transition at MuleSoft where we were able to go to product with things from the cases that would have taken us months and months to read these cases and scroll the cases and get to a place where you could do a Pareto analysis. SupportLogic helped us do it in, what felt like seconds, really. And we could go back with trends, and we could have very meaningful conversations with our product managers about things that we needed in the product or things that the customers wanted, etc. So use this rich data and the way that SupportLogic can help you mine this data. Yeah. Again, I feel like I'm a walking commercial right now, and yet it's why I joined the company. Because, oh my goodness, come on, guys, come on this ride with us. It's amazing. So it's there.
It really does work. So we got another question from Kern Bloom. How can we really change the culture to be more customer-centric, as he speaks well English, and engage the product teams to support the support? I like that. So how do we engage?
I do too.
That's a great question.
I do too. And what's funny? The best quote, Peter Drucker has thousands and thousands of amazing quotes, right? But the one, the purpose of business is to get and keep a customer, right? It's not to go out and just create a product, right? It's to get customers and keep them. So, and I might not have done that quote perfectly, but what the intent of what he's saying is, right? It's to create these relationships with customers that they want to stay with you. And so for me, especially with a product, for years, a lot of product managers lived on features and loved features and created lots. And, it's no different, if you will, than some of these loyalty programs that get created in the industry. And you're like, did I want that? I don't think I even wanted that. Right? And customers do that with the product. So again, for support, go to them with a gift, and go to them with the gift of data, because you're sitting on it. And so a product like ours will help you mine that data, and you can go there with a gift with the bow wrapped on it. And you can say, hey, let's work together. But think about products' life. They see enhancements and they see defects. They don't get to see all this great stuff in the middle. Very rarely do they know what the other 80% of their issues are. And so support can help with that and say, look at this 80% of stuff sitting in here that you never see. We've taken it, we've analyzed it, we've given you the trends, we've given you suggestions. That's a gift like no other. And I know our product managers here love that.
Yeah.
And any product manager would love that. Go with a gift, and it's the gift of that data bundled up in a nice package.
So, Judi, you said a little bit earlier about all of the options you have available to you to do things. Right? Pick one, kind of focus. I heard this theme around focus, and escalations was big. Ultimately, we want to move from reactive to proactive, case routing, certainly coaching, analytics, all of these things. I like to be very tactical and say for everybody here on the call, what are the 2 action items, the must-have next steps that you would recommend to anybody that's a support leader or chief customer officer that they do when they get off today's call? Like, what can they actionably do that will make it even more exciting for them over the next 12 months and the customers and the teams that they take care of?
Well, I don't know if you meant for this to be such a softball. Did you mean for a softball like that? I mean, that's
I thought it was kind of mean asking for 2, but okay, whatever you got. But you get the idea. It's just from your knowledge, like, what are things that they might not be thinking of, outside of the box thinking that they should do?
Oh, well, see, I think every support leader is always thinking. The problem is they're thinking too much, right? They have too much on their plate, and they're trying to drive too much. And they're trying to do it, sometimes in a crazy culture where, as we talked earlier in the call, support's not viewed as strategic or a differentiator. Number one, it sounds trite, but put your listening ears on. Just seriously put your listening ears on. Find out from your agents and your managers, what is the most stressful part of their job. Find that out. You may think you know what it is, but you may not. And, I'll tell you, again, using my last experience when I was a SupportLogic customer, the pain and agony that a lot of the escalations caused, the fact that it took us a long time when a customer would escalate, because if you're anything like the rest of us, you go out, you find the cases, you review the case, you do all of this work before you even talk to the customer, because you want to go in loaded with, both sides of the story. Well, support executives know there's 17 sides to a story, and reading a bunch of cases is not going to get you all 17 sides.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot.
So put your listening ears on. And again, if you want to keep the people in the chairs that you have today, and I think most of us do, right? We care so deeply about our teams. Look for those areas where you can make their life better, because if you do that for them, they're going to give it back to you in spades. And we always talk about get the effort out. Look for the areas that are heavy. They are process driven. Seriously, don't over engineer this stuff.